I don't need to tell you, but once again you are living through more intense load shedding after Eskom said on Sunday it had literally run out of money to buy diesel, which means it can't run its open cycle gas turbine generators. As a result, it's lost around 2,000 megawatts of generating capacity, or 2 stages of load shedding. We've also been told national government will be trying to find more money for Eskom after a meeting between Eskom's board and the Public Enterprises, Mr. Pravin Gordhan, this last Sunday. Etienne Rubbers is a board member of the South African National Energy Association. Etienne, good afternoon to you. I mean, this is possibly the worst this crisis has been. Have you ever seen a moment worse than this, where Eskom literally runs out of money for diesel?
I think we in a crisis situation at the moment. And we haven't been in such a bad position in the past.
How do you believe we get out of this? I mean, the idea that government is going to keep finding money surely isn't sustainable.
Sure. In the short term, South Africa needs to find the money from somewhere to buy diesel. It's costing us dearly for the economy of not having that electricity. But there's a longer-term issue of we need to get the EAF up for our power stations.
So you're talking about improving the coal power stations that we have, and we know that Eskom is really battling to do that.
Correct. And it's the quickest way to increase electricity supply is through increasing the availability of the existing power plants, and then longer term get more renewables and more gas-fired power stations.
We keep having an argument around what to do. And I mean, everyone sort of jumps up and down and points at Eskom. And I understand that. I'm certainly guilty of doing that too. Is that going to help? I mean, is there any other support that Eskom can receive? And we have a government task team and a national energy, I think it's a National Energy Crisis Committee. I don't know if those things help. What we really need are people who can fix very old coal-fired power stations in a situation where some of these coal-fired power stations shouldn't be running at all.
I think it's important to give Eskom support. I think the teams there are having a very tough job, and I think it will go a long way just for the general public to show our support for Eskom. They have serious problems, but they need people's support.
How do we do that? I mean, are there engineers still out there who could help? Or is there any other way that they could be supported? I mean, apart from just bringing a lot more to the grid through the independent sector.
Yes, there is a skills deficit within SASL, or within Eskom, and that needs to be addressed. And a quick win for that would be to bring in the old hands who used to build or used to run power stations.
We keep being told that the private sector is going to be gearing up. It'll bring more renewable electricity online, at least just to power itself, to power mines. We know, for example, that some of the big hospitals have solar power on their roofs. Is that going to make any impact at all?
Yes, I think the 100 megawatts which private companies are able to put into the grid, that will make a huge difference. And I think own generation of power will reduce the demand from Eskom and go a long way to put an end to load shedding.
I've seen at least one person suggesting, and Eskom was very clear about this, that load shedding will be more erratic without the open cycle gas turbines than ever before. Does that then pose a greater risk of something going very badly wrong? I'm talking about a national blackout when the entire system crashes.
I think we have a very competent team of people at the National Control Center to make sure that we don't have a blackout for the country. So they're quite careful about implementing load shedding where it's required. But unfortunately, it has a big impact on the economy. But your comment of without having those gas-fired power stations available to run, it does create a complexity with the erratic behavior of a gas-fired power station can ramp up and down very quickly, which most other forms of generation can't.
Etienne Rubbers, thank you, a board member of the South African National Energy Association.